I blinked, and the weeping angel stood one step closer. Its stone fingers hovered inches from my throat, the chilling aura freezing the very breath inside my terrified chest completely. 24 hours earlier, I had no idea this nightmare existed. My urban exploration vlog led me straight to the rusted iron gates of an estate forgotten by time itself. The heavy front door groaned in protest as I shoved it open. Thick dust billowed into the stagnant air, carrying the unmistakable scent of rot, damp wood, and ancient secrets. Inside, the darkness felt almost physical, wrapping around my shoulders like a heavy cloak. My flashlight beam cut erratic circles across warped floorboards that groaned beneath my cautious boots. Faded portraits lined the rotting walls, their painted eyes seeming to follow my every movement. I dismissed the creeping unease as mere paranoia fueled by too many ghost stories. At the end of the hall, wide double doors stood slightly ajar. I pushed them open to reveal a massive drawing room, swallowed by decades of accumulated neglect and shadows. Then, cutting through the gloom, my flashlight caught a pale, unnatural shape standing near the boarded-up fireplace. It did not look like furniture. It looked suspiciously humanoid and wrong. I stepped closer, my boots crunching loudly on broken plaster. As the light washed over the figure, my breath caught. It was a magnificent, hauntingly detailed marble angel sculpture. Carved from gray weeping stone, the figure knelt with its face buried deeply inside folded wings. The craftsmanship was breathtakingly lifelike, yet carried an oppressive, deeply unsettling weight. Why would an exquisite work of art sit abandoned in a derelict ruin? There were no signs of movers or crates, as if the statue had simply grown from the floorboards. I set up my camera on a tripod to capture footage for my channel. The lens hummed quietly, focusing on the silent, sorrowful figure shrouded in permanent twilight shadows. "Hey guys, you won't believe what I found inside this cursed place," I whispered to the microphone, panning the camera from my face to the looming stone angel. As I reviewed the test clip on the small screen, a sudden static hiss spiked through the audio. For one split second, the statue on screen seemed upright. I shook my head, blaming an old memory card glitch or low battery power. Cameras always acted weird in abandoned buildings anyway, right? I kept filming regardless. Without warning, the ambient temperature plummeted. My breath plumed into visible white wisps inside the parlor, and goosebumps instantly erupted across my bare arms beneath the jacket. I turned away for a brief moment to pack a spare battery into my backpack, keeping my back to the statue for no more than 5 seconds max. A sharp scraping sound echoed against the rotting floorboards behind me. It sounded like heavy stone dragging across wood, shifting with terrifying, deliberate mechanical precision. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird as I whipped my head back around, flashlight beam cutting through the swirling dust motes instantly. The angel remained kneeling in its exact spot, head bowed into its wings. I let out a shaky, nervous laugh, mocking my own frayed nerves and stupid imagination. "See? Nothing to worry about," I muttered aloud to myself, trying to anchor my racing thoughts back into reality. But the oppressive silence in the room felt heavier. I walked back to the tripod to check the continuous recording. The time code showed normal passage, but the footage revealed something that sent ice straight through my veins. In the video, while my back was turned, the statue had stood upright, taken 2 massive strides forward, and frozen again the exact second I turned around. My gaze snapped from the glowing screen back to the physical statue across the room. It was closer now, much closer than it had been a minute ago. Panic surged through my veins, screaming at me to run. I scrambled backward, tripping over my own tripod legs and hitting the decaying wooden floor with a hard thud. I scrambled to my feet and bolted for the parlor exit, sprinting down the dark hallway to the front door. I clawed at the heavy brass handle, but it jammed. Locked from the outside. Heavy iron chains and padlocks somehow now secured the handles, despite me walking right through them 20 minutes prior without noticing any obstruction. There was no escape through the front. I spun around and raced deeper into the unfamiliar labyrinth of the abandoned house, desperate to find any alternative way out. Dusty abandoned rooms blurred past my frantic eyes. Broken furniture, shattered glass, and forgotten relics of a bygone era littered every square inch of the terrifying floor. My lungs burned like fire with every gasping and breath. The flashlight beam flickered erratically as my trembling hands struggled to keep the device pointed forward in the dark. Footsteps. Heavy, measured, stony footsteps echoed behind me down the wooden floorboards, keeping a steady, relentless rhythm that signaled it was closing the gap fast. I remembered the old legends, the terrifying lore of weeping statues. As long as you look at them, they cannot move. But what happens when you look away? My frantic retreat ended abruptly when my back hit a cold, solid brick wall. I was trapped in a dead-end study with only one narrow doorway leading back out. And there it stood, framing itself inside the doorway. The stone angel blocked the only escape route, its weeping face tilted slightly upward toward my terrified eyes. I forced my eyes wide open, refusing to blink, refusing to look away for even a fraction of a second. The statue remained perfectly still, trapped by my gaze. My eyes burned fiercely, crying out for moisture, begging for just one quick blink. I squeezed my eyelids shut for barely a millisecond to relieve the unbearable pain. That tiny fraction of a second was all it needed. The sound of grinding stone filled the air, rushing forward with terrifying speed right across the wooden floorboards. I blinked, and the weeping angel stood one step closer. Its stone fingers hovered inches from my throat, the chilling aura freezing the very breath inside my terrified chest. I couldn't move. My legs had turned to lead, refusing to obey my frantic mental commands. I was cornered, helpless, and completely at the mercy of the ancient horror. Then, the unthinkable happened. A freezing stone fingertip brushed against my skin. It felt like absolute zero, sending an agonizing jolt of petrifying frost straight through my blood. Where the stone touched my collarbone, the flesh hardened instantly. Gray veins of solid marble spread outward across my skin like spiderwebs, locking my body in place. I tried to scream out in agony, but my jaw locked solid as gray marble crawled up my throat, silencing my voice forever into a cold, eternal stillness. The burning pain faded away, replaced by an overwhelming numbness. My thoughts grew heavy, sluggish, sinking deep into the cold, unyielding core of the heavy stone. My clothes fused into the hardening marble, my human form reshaping itself into the very same posture of sorrow, head bowed downward into newly formed stone wings. My human consciousness remained trapped inside the statue, aware, watching, waiting in the endless dark. I was no longer the victim. I was the new guardian. The ancient curse demanded a replacement, a soul to take the curse so the old angel could finally rest. Now, I was the one bound to this house. Years bled into decades in total silence. Dust accumulated thick upon my stone shoulders, and floorboards rotted further around my heavy base as the estate decayed. I waited in the dark, motionless, bound by the unyielding rules of our existence. I could not move while observed, but when the lights flickered, I advanced. Then, after an eternity of absolute stillness, a faint sound broke the silence. Creaking floorboards near the front entrance. Someone else had entered the house. A young vlogger, holding a camera and shining a flashlight, stepped nervously into my parlor. He was filming his adventure, completely unaware of the deadly trap. Just as I had done years ago, he stared at me in awe, recording my stone form on his glowing digital screen, completely unaware of the approaching doom. He turned away for a brief second to adjust his gear, breaking eye contact. That single, fatal hesitation was all the opening I needed to move. I slid forward, across the floorboards, with a grinding shriek of heavy stone, closing the distance the second his eyes looked away from my marble form. He whipped his head back around in sheer panic, freezing me instantly in place. But I was already much closer now, towering right over his terrified frame. He ran, but the doors were chained shut. He backed into a corner, his eyes wild with terror, straining desperately to keep me in his unrelenting field of view. His exhausted eyes burned, tears streaming down his face as he finally blinked. In that microsecond of darkness, I leaped forward and reached out my stone hand. My stone fingers touched his skin. The gray marble veins spread across his collarbone, locking him into the exact same eternal paralysis that once imprisoned me. As his flesh turned to solid stone and his consciousness merged with the marble, I felt my own limbs loosen. The ancient curse finally released my soul. I was free from the statue, but I couldn't leave. My old human body crumbled into dust on the floorboards, leaving him to take my place as the new angel. Now I wander the halls as a disembodied spirit, watching the endless cycle repeat. Every visitor brings a new soul to feed the immortal hunger of the house. So if you ever stumble upon an abandoned estate with a weeping stone sculpture inside, remember my warning. Whatever you do in the dark, never ever blink. Would you survive 10 seconds in that dark room before your eyes betrayed you? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe for more nightmares.